The sitting room breathed in silence. It was the kind of quiet that doesn't come from peace, but from absence. The kind that lingers after a voice has been left unanswered too many times. She sat on the edge of the faded floral armchair, still in her dark navy wool school uniform, blazer unbuttoned, one shoulder slipped down as if she tried to shrug out of it and given up. The white shirt beneath was frayed at the collar, the tie dangling crookedly, one end tucked into her belt like an afterthought. Her mismatched socks, navy and gray, were pulled unevenly up her calves, the seams wrinkled from hours of walking home from school. Her shoes lay discarded beside the cold hearth, scuffed from the damp pavement outside. Rain tapped gently against the bay window, blurring the glow of the street lamp beyond the garden hedge. The grandfather clock in the corner ticked, slow, steady, inevitable. Each second a heartbeat the room refused to echo. On the low table beside her, a phone. Screen still lit. One notification. One name. Gran. The last call. 8:43 p.m. She hadn't answered. She hadn't even looked up. Her fingers were folded tightly in her lap. Her eyes were fixed on the floor, not in shame, not in anger, but in the hollow stillness of someone who had learned over time how to let things slip through her fingers without feeling them break. Outside, the wind stirred the old oak tree. Inside, the air smelled of lavender polish, old books, and the faintest trace of chamomile tea, the kind her grandmother always brewed, just a little too sweet. She didn't move. She didn't breathe. She waited. For what, she didn't know. But the silence was waiting for her. It had started at 6:17 p.m., just after she got home. She dropped her bag. The door, kicked off her shoes, and flopped onto the kitchen chair with a bag of salt and vinegar crisps. Her phone buzzed on the counter. Gran. She glanced at it. Saw the time. Saw the name. Saw the weight of it. The warmth in that one word. And muted it. She opened TikTok. A girl danced in a neon dress. She laughed. Another buzz. Gran. She didn't look. She scrolled. At 7:02, her mother came home, still in her navy nursing scrubs, hair pulled into a tight bun, smelling of antiseptic and rain. She kissed the girl's forehead without a word, hung her coat on the hook beside the photo of her own mother. The same woman who'd once held her as a child, just like she held this girl now. At 7:45, the phone buzzed again. Gran. This time, the girl turned it face down. At 8:10, a text came. I made your favorite scones. Thought you might come by. Love, Gran. She didn't reply. At 8:43, the call came. She didn't answer. She didn't even check. She watched another video. Laughed at a cat falling off a sofa. When the phone stopped ringing, the silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full. Full of the last words her grandmother had ever whispered into a receiver. I just wanted to hear your voice, love. Her mother found the phone on the counter at 9:05 p.m. 5 missed calls. 1 voicemail. She didn't scream. Didn't cry. Didn't even raise her voice. She walked upstairs. Found the girl still in the same spot. Slumped on the armchair, headphones on, eyes locked on the screen. She stood in the doorway for a long moment. Then she turned. Walked to the hallway cabinet. Opened it. Took out the paddle. It was old. Dark oak, smooth from years of use, carved with initials. Yem 1968. Her mother's mother had used it. And before her, her grandmother. It wasn't a weapon. It was a ritual. A promise. A reminder that some things, some people, were worth more than a glance. She carried it back. Didn't say a word. Just held it in her hand. And said simply, come. The girl knew. She always knew. She didn't resist. She didn't beg. She didn't cry. She walked to the armchair. Kneeling on the cushion, she leaned forward, hands gripping the worn velvet, knuckles white. Her blazer slipped further off her shoulder. The white shirt collar was now fully exposed, frayed and thin. Her skirt, the thick navy wool of her school uniform, was pulled up just above her knees, the fabric stretched taut over her thighs, the hem creased from tension. The paddle lifted. A breath held. Then thwack. One. The sound was sharp. Clean. Final. It echoed off the bookshelves. The framed photos of family Christmases. The portrait of her grandmother holding her as a toddler, smiling with missing teeth. She bit her lip. Hard. A drop of blood appeared. Thwack. Two. Her breath hitched. Her shoulders trembled. Tears welled. But she refused to let them fall. Not here. Not now. Thwack. 3. Slower. Deeper. Deliberate. The paddle landed with a weight that didn't just strike skin. It struck memory. She remembered her grandmother's hands. Thin-veined, warm, brushing her hair after baths. She remembered the smell of scones baking on Sunday mornings. She remembered the way Gran would hum old folk songs while knitting, even when her voice cracked. She remembered being 5, curled in her lap, whispering, "I'll never leave you, Gran." The paddle stopped. Her mother didn't speak. She didn't need to. The silence returned, heavier now, full of all the things left unsaid. The phone on the table still glowed. The last call's timestamp blinked. 8:43 p.m. As if time itself was still waiting. Her mother set the paddle down. Walked to the window. Stared out at the rain-slicked garden. And whispered so softly only the clock could hear, "I didn't raise you to be invisible." Then she left. The door clicked shut. The girl remained. Still kneeling. Still trembling. Still holding her breath. Midnight. The house slept. She slipped out. No coat. No shoes. Just her uniform, her socks, her guilt. She walked the half-mile to the cottage on the edge of the village. The one with the crooked gate, the overgrown rose bushes. The porch light always left on. The door was unlocked. As it always was. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of chamomile and beeswax. The kettle was still warm on the stove. A teacup sat on the table half full. A plate of scones still wrapped in a cloth beside it. On the mantelpiece, a photograph. Her. 6 years old. Granny's arms around her. Both of them wearing matching navy cardigans. Smiling. Beneath it, a small card. Written in shaky, familiar handwriting. "I made your favorite scones. Thought you might come by. I'm sorry I called so late. I just miss you. Love, Gran." She picked up the teacup. Sipped. It was too sweet. Just like Gran always made it. She didn't cry. Not yet. She took the note. Tucked it into the pocket of her blazer, right over her heart. Then she walked home. The rain had stopped. The streetlights glowed like stars fallen to earth. At the front door, her mother stood. Still in her scrubs. Hair still pulled back. Eyes still tired. In her hand, a second teacup. Earl Grey. Her favorite. She didn't speak. Didn't smile. Didn't ask. Just held it out. The girl took it. Their fingers. Brushed. For the first time in years, she didn't pull away. She sat beside her mother on the sofa. The clock ticked. The tea warmed their palms. And for the first time in years she stayed. Not because she was punished. Not because she was afraid. But because she finally understood. Some love doesn't shout. It waits. It calls. It hums. It bakes scones. And when you finally turn around, it's still there. Waiting. Still warm. Still yours. Outside, the first light of dawn touched the garden. The kettle whistled again. This time she got up. And poured another cup. For Gran. And for herself. And for the silence. That had finally learned how to speak.